Hello, welcome back to Aether. This is Satomi and Paul from the Sakaso.ca. Welcome back. It's episode 102,
Yeah.
and today's topic is words are magic.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So, what does it mean? Words are magic? It's
What you can say?
go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So, I mean, we take it for granted. Like it's kind of a idea that we grew up with our whole lives, and it's been around for a long time. That language is just a sound that comes out of our mouth
Mm-hmm.
that expresses some meaning in whatever language we speak, English or Japanese or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about an object and a verb, right? Subject, verb, and that kind of stuff. And it's just a way of communicating,
Mm-hmm.
period,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Dead stop. That's the basic assumption.
Mm-hmm.
But really, it's a lot deeper than that,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so yeah, sure, we can say words are magic and it sounds, kind of nice and interesting, but what does it really mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what it really means is that it can make a real difference in our lives,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, we are made of the words what we use every day.
Mm-hmm.
But we become who we are,
Mm-hmm.
and then those words are a big part of what's deciding who we become,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we're not aware of that, and then we just use whatever the words that it's at what would be the word? It's convenient, and it's just that you can share what your idea, whatever it comes up in your head, and you use it, and it gets the job done, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those words, but actually,
and that does happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
actually,
But it's actually, like you said, it's deeper than that. And then in Japan, there's a word that said it's kotodama, means words. I don't know how to translate this. Word has energy in the word. In every word that has energy, and not just the simply word, but how you say it, how you deliver the words, right? And it always has this energy. And some people are aware, and not so many people. Lots of people are not aware about this energy in word, and I always say that when we argue, it's not what you say, it's the energy behind it, how you're saying it. There's a negative energy, and that's what I don't like. You can say exactly the same thing, but if you don't have that energy, you can deliver it differently. Right? So that's one way. It's there's a word itself has some negative energy, negative thing, but some words can be neutral.
mm-hmm.
Right? There's some negative words and some positive words and some neutral words. Right? So using positive or neutral words, a good choice for yourself, for your empowerment, and for others' empowerment, instead of using negative words, right? And then that's step one. And step two is how you deliver it. That's another level of communicating and using magic in words, right? So
yeah, I mean, there's so many words, phrases that can be taken completely different ways based on the intent behind it, how you say it, right? So, like you could say, like, "Oh, great," right?
Yeah.
Right? Or you could say, oh, great, right? Those are totally different meanings,
Totally,
right?
it's exactly the same words,
Yeah.
but they're totally different. I'm just doing this because
Yeah.
we usually do this.
Yeah.
Questions and comments are welcome, always. So don't be shy to jump in. So where were we?
At the bottom.
At the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So like, so like you said, it's when we argue, most of the time, a lot of the time it has that as a big part of it, because the way I grew up, right, it was like where I started the conversation, right? It's like, words are just words, right? And it's just a communication. And I was very, I guess, scientific and analytical, and I broke things down and, made them atomic and that kind of thing. And they didn't connect.
Yeah. And also,
but it does connect, right?
Yeah. And then you use like positive words or gentle words. You know how to pick those ones. And so you don't use, sometimes you use negative words, but that when you trying to justify yourself, and then you use those good words, but how you say it, it's totally different. So, and then like, this is what I said. But what are you all mad?
Yeah.
It's not what you said, it's how you say it. Right? So, but anyway, there's magic in words and so many different levels. So, how you say it matters. Yeah.
Yeah. What is the intent behind it? Yeah. I mean, and we'll just touch on this kind of lightly, but like even the word spelling, right?
Yeah, it's a spell.
Right. The word spell is right in there, right? So it's like these things aren't a fluke. The English language has depth in it. There's stuff that is not really made, not really talked about and made public and all that kind of thing, but it is there, right? It's built into the language. So, and I could go further with other examples, but I'll just touch on this one. It's like that. I mean, we literally cast spells
every
with
word.
our words.
Yeah.
Right?
Every word we use, that's a spell.
Yeah. And so, like, okay, that sounds kind of out there, but like, if you think about just the word paradigm, right? So, what is your paradigm? Your paradigm is your collection of beliefs, right? And those beliefs could be written into a few sentences, right? Maybe more than a few, but the world that we live in is not just exactly what is directly in front of us. It's also how we interpret it, right? So, in other words, like mood, right? If I'm in a bad mood, I'm going to look at my world around me, and I'm going to be negative about it. I'm going to look at things and see them as negative. And literally, like I have been at one point in my life, I was depressed. It's actually more than once, but I literally don't really remember color, and I think color was draining out of my world, out of my perception. Right, the world was gray to me, or that kind of sepia kind of effect, kind of thing, right? Something like that you see in old photos. But when you're in a better mood, when you're in a good mood, you see it's the same world around you, but you see it completely differently. You there's something uplifting about your experience, or at least it's just acceptable, right? You don't interpret it in a negative way all the time, the way you would if you're in a bad mood, right? So is the world an awful place, paradigm? Or is the world is it kind of in between? Like there's, good and bad, or is the world a wonderful place, right? So those paradigms are, you could put that in a sentence, that's a belief. And that sentence, those made up of words, those are magical. It changes your whole reality, right? And we see that playing out in politics these days, right? There's all kinds of stuff about this. There's a huge battle going on the internet and in all the different countries and their governments and all that kind of thing, and media and all that stuff. They're all fighting over narratives. It's a big battle over narratives. What's a narrative? It's a paradigm. And there's this war between these different paradigms that's going on. And there's censorship and all that kind of stuff. Why is that stuff important? Because people know who want, kind of the big shots in the world, they know that these things matter. What the general population, what they believe matters. And that belief is made up of words. That's the magic. It's in there, is in those words, is how to interpret the world. Is this guy a bad guy in the world on the world stage, right? Let's take Elon Musk, for example, right? Very controversial figure. Some people see him as a good guy, some people see him as a bad guy. Which one is he? He's just one person, right? Is he going to be? Which one is he? So that the what we believe about Elon Musk determines whether we use X, right? Twitter, right? That'll determine whether or not we actually want to go on that platform, whether we want to use it, all that kind of stuff, or buy Tesla, or who knows, Starlink, whatever the case may be. Use his businesses as services in some way. It'll determine whether we actually decide to do that. So that belief changes the way we live our world, our life. So those just assigning good guy, bad guy to a person, those are words. You're a good guy, you're a bad guy. You're seeing that person a certain way, and you're assigning a label to them. And how we come to that conclusion depends on the words that we read in an article, that we heard on the news, that we heard from a friend. Right? Those are all words. So it's magic that's being passed around like that, and that forms our beliefs. It forms our worldview, and that worldview can be a positive one, a negative one, in between. So it's all very magical. It's what we're doing on a regular basis every single day.
Okay.
Yeah. So you want to shift to a different part of this?
So that's, if you can tell me where you were going with.
Oh, it's just kind of standalone. It kind of sets the stage. It's like what I want to do is like just convey that a paradigm is made up of beliefs. Those beliefs are words, right? So that's incredibly magical. It sets the framework of our life, right? So that's a huge part of the magic. Whether you believe the world is this way or that way depends on your paradigm, and that paradigm is made up of the words that you picked up from one source or another.
Okay, so let's bring it to here instead of talking about Elon Musk.
Sure.
So what's first thing that you want to say about words?
Well, one thing that maybe it's so I'm bringing it down here. So I was gonna. Okay. So one thing that you always say as well is to mean what you say. Right. It's using. So this is an aspect of using white magic words is to mean what you say. That means if I say something, I don't say it sarcastically. Right? Because I used to do that, right? But you can't do that with an empath. I'll just tell you that. You can't be sarcastic around an empath, because what you're doing is you're saying one thing and meaning another, and an empath can't, that is like, it's very painful, right? That's how you describe it.
It's sarcasm is just to kind of hurt people in a way.
Or sometimes it can, it's a dark humor at times, right?
Yeah. It's even you making a joke and having fun, but you are bringing down people.
well, or a circumstance or something, right? Whatever. Yeah.
Circumstance is involved people.
Usually. Yeah.
There's no circumstance with no people involved.
Yeah.
So, bringing down people.
Yeah.
So no, it's like every word you use, it's the truth. It becomes truth to you, even you are being sarcastic, but some part of you believes it. Some part of you want to be sarcastic because there's something that you don't like about that person. You don't want to be nice to that person 100%. You don't want to be 100% love. You want to show some attack in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is that, because it's like let's say you see a meme or something like that online, right? And you say like, "Oh, this is a really nice thing to say," and it's something, something somebody created. And if I mean that it's not nice, right, I'm actually criticizing it.
Yeah.
Right. I'm being critical, but I'm disguising it.
Yeah.
In the opposite language, and that's being, not only am I being critical, but I'm misrepresenting, right?
Yeah.
So that's those
and
kind
then
of things.
you being the smart pants.
Yeah, I'm setting myself above.
Yeah.
When I do that,
Yeah.
and that all those things. Those are like no.
No.
Yeah.
No. It's like
Yeah.
So so mean what you say.
Yeah.
That it's deep, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of different aspects to it.
Pretty much everybody thinks they mean what they say. Right? That's why they're saying it. Right? They think this way. That's why they're saying it. Right? But this one you have to look in deeper. Is that really what you mean? Right? And so, for example, totally different from being sarcastic. Like, oh, I'm going to do it later. Are you really going to do it later? Like later is when. Later, it's you're just saying it to get by, and later never comes, right? So then you are not really saying it, right? So those kind of thing, and oh, I'm going to do it later. It's like, okay, when is later? Is it later today or 10 years from now? Right? Or after I die. It's still later, right? And so it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything to me if you say, I'm going to do it later. I jump on every time you say
I don't think I've ever gotten away with that.
Later, when? When? Today? Oh, I don't have time today. So is that tomorrow or next week or next month or next year? When are you talking about? Because later, it's just a floating word that can be anything. So you don't mean that you're going to do it 100%.
No, it's 100%.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's what I mean what you say. You own it and then you make it clear and then take the responsibility. If you are gonna do it, if you don't know you can do it, don't say you're gonna do it. I'm not sure when I can do it. That's the honest answer. Instead of I'm going to do it later, it's like I don't think so. I don't think you're not owning the words. I don't think so, and I'm not happy with the answer. Right? So that's what I mean. I mean what you say. Yeah. Does it make sense?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing is like exaggeration and might be jumping ahead.
Well, I don't know if we want to go to that yet.
Oh.
To mean there's a lot more to mean what you say,
Okay.
right?
Keep going.
That's
it. Kind of same to me. It's same group, but go ahead.
Well, there's when you're saying yes,
Mm-hmm.
It's a commitment.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And you should only do that when you truly are prepared. You need to think about it. Like when that situation you outlined there, right? I would need to give it some real consideration to see when I can fit it in, and when it makes sense for me to focus on this, and does it make sense compared to other things that I'm considering a priority, right? And then if I agree to it or not, I need to follow through with that. I mean, it's okay to not say no, but there should be some explanation for you, right, as to why. But it's because otherwise I'm lying, right?
If you say,
if you don't mean what you say, it means that you're actually lying. Whether you're lying to yourself, just like kidding yourself, right?
You're lying to yourself too, and you're lying to me, and you're lying to everything else. You're lying, and then you're just using those words, like I said, using those words to get by. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And so, and then the situation remain as it is. Yeah.
And when you lie, that it's pretty serious, right? No, it may not be the end of the world necessarily, but there's no end of the pain and suffering that's created when we're not truthful, when we're not honest with ourselves, when we because it's so hard on us. Like we think in one way we might think we're getting away with something, but on the other hand, at the same time, we really know what's going on, and we lose respect for ourselves. So that runs ourselves down. That runs ourselves down, and that gives that side of ourself later that goes over stuff to run ourselves down more by judging ourselves, right? Because we know what we're like, right? And if we're not standing up for what we say and what we commit to, then we're not reliable. And if we know we're not reliable, that really runs down our self-image.
Yeah. So like if you say you're going to do it, and if you didn't do it, I lose trust in you doing it.
There's that
and
too.
then and then you are, and I can get frustrated, and you can get frustrated, me being frustrated, but you said you were going to do it, and then there's a battle there that, I said I was going to do it, but she doesn't have to get mad. She can be patient, but then you are justifying, showing the responsibility to me, right? And so, of course, you don't want to take responsibility. You didn't want to take responsibility from the start, saying, I'm going to do it later, taking responsibility. And then if I get mad, you get mad. So it's this negative dynamic is going to start just from those words, actually, that you just didn't mean. You didn't look at face the situation and be true to yourself and use the word that you can commit. 100% commit. Just because you didn't do that, and this negative dynamic happens, right? It might sound like oh yeah, right, kind of thing, but it is happening all the time. And then if you are doing that, like, I'm going to do it later, all the time, maybe to yourself, like your things that you want to do, and I'm going to do it later, and I'm going to do it later. If doing, you might be doing it to yourself, not other people. That same negative energy circulation is happening in you, right? Because words are energy, and what is magic, it's up to you how you use the magic in a positive way or negative way, right?
Yeah, and if you can't do it with the small things, it's going to have a big effect on whether you can do it for the big things, right? And that's the way people, our relationships with people are always built around trust. So if we're not being honest with ourselves and others in that way, that erodes our ability to work with others. And it changes our world, right? It changes how the whole dynamic works in the way we work with other people. So it's a very big deal.
Yeah. So it's not like you say I'll do it later because the other person's expecting you to do it, and if you say I'm not gonna do it, then the other person's gonna not be happy. That's why you are just kind of to settle this moment that that person, she's going to be happy when I say it, I'm going to do it. But then you're not thinking about later on what's going to happen, right? So you, it's a practice, right? You cannot just, you might not be able to change it right away. Okay, I'm just going to do it, but you have, of course, you have to think deep. Okay, I actually don't want to do it right now, right? And so you have to voice that feeling. I don't want to do it right now, and then you want to say why. You want to explain why. If she can do it, she can do it too. I cannot do it right now. You want to do it, and if something that person can do it, then she can do it too. If she's the one who wants to get whatever the job done, right? And so this, or if she's not the one who can look after this situation, then you have to be the one. Do you want to do this job or not? Right? Do you, or you want to leave this as it is? This is what you want, and different situation is what she wants, and what she wants and what you want might be different. Then you want to communicate. Okay, I'm happy with this, and why you're not happy with this. Right? I don't want to do anything about this because I'm happy. Right? You gotta communicate, and then just face the situation, and then be honest about yourself and honest about what you think and what you feel. And then actually, I don't want to do it. I want it this way. Right? So that's something you can, right? And if you want to do it, you agree with her and you want to change and you want to do it, and you're the one who have to do it. You can be true to yourself, and when can I do it? Right? There's always other things to do, always other things to do, and if you let other things to come in. But when can I do this? Okay, I'm gonna, not today, but I'll do it tomorrow. And then when you say you do it tomorrow, you're gonna do it tomorrow. Because this is what I mean, like what you say. You say it, you do it. Right? So later doesn't work. Later doesn't give you any indication when. So later doesn't work. You gotta pick the time. I'm gonna do this time, and then you really own it, own the responsibility,
And that makes all the difference. Like we work with people who are trying to achieve their goals, trying to change their lives, right? It makes all the difference in the world to do exactly what you just said, which is don't say you're going to do it later. Have a plan and keep to the plan, right? So you're then committing to yourself, and that commitment is whether it is, and with the commitment and plan is going to determine whether or not it actually happens or not, right? So your ability to move forward and change your life and create the life you want depends a great deal on your personal integrity. This is what we're talking about, right? So, and that integrity is magic. It means that things are going to happen. It's the strength behind your words, right? So and if I back up and I go back to the beginning where we started here, it can be that your words are diluted and made not magical, or having very little magic, very weak magic, when you do things like say, I'll do it later, and you don't really mean it, right? And then that's a typical normal thing of what happens in the world that we live in, because people assume that it's not magic that you're dealing with, right? But if you assume that it is magic, then that where you end up with is integrity. And you end up with things getting done, because you understand that there is an importance. You're making a contract with someone to say, okay, I will do it by 5 p.m. right?
And then, but
tomorrow or today,
but
right? Whatever.
As soon as you said that you are going to do it, and that's 100% your responsibility. You want to separate the other person who asked you to do it. Right. Like, so if you are thinking like, oh, she asked me to do it, so I have to do it, I'm doing it for her, and then you are not owning it, you are being controlled by that person, then it's not empowering, it's disempowering. As soon as you said, okay, I'm going to do it, the moment you said it, it's 100% your responsibility, not the other person's responsibility.
Because if you're resisting the other person, right? If you have like a history with that person in some way, and you're resisting working with them, you don't want to cooperate with them because you don't really like what they do, then if you're doing it for them, then you're going to resist, right? And that just creates problems when you're resisting like that. So I totally agree with what you're saying. There's a contract that's being signed there, and when you sign the contract and say I will do it by this time, then you do own it. That's when you're taking ownership of it. That's the appropriate way to do it, right? And that, so there's a magic there. There's something that you brought. You brought a concern to me. I said I would take on this action in order to address that concern. Something's being handed back and forth there, right? And if it's a fair exchange, which it should always be, then then the exchange is done and it's a transaction, and I own it then, right? It's not you pushing me. Right. I have agreed. Right.
Once you agreed, and then it's your responsibility. Lots of people don't see that line, and then they are using the words negative way, right? Negatively using magic, right? But once you own it, that's your responsibility. And if you don't want to own 100% responsibility, you gotta do something before you say you're gonna do it. Right? That have to happen before, right? And if you don't feel like it's fair, don't say you're gonna do it. once you said you're going to do it, that's 100% your responsibility.
So the magic is that something out of this may get done, right? There might be a real world change that occurs, right? Whether it's taking out the garbage or whatever it is that I'm agreeing to do, right? Something changes in the world, right? And whether or not that happens depends on this interchange between us, and it's magical, right? Because the garbage isn't going to walk itself out to the outside, right? So there's an exchange that's happening there, energetically, and as a matter of a contract being signed, and a commitment being made, and an ownership being taken. All of those things, that's a lot of magic. There's a lot of layers in there. And then the result is the garbage gets taken out, right? If it doesn't, that means there's something messing up our magic, one way or another, right? It could be all different stages of what we just talked about and broke that down, right?
And it could be all different words that we are using, and it negatively or sarcastically and upset the other person, and become unhappy and not cooperating. Those kind that words, it's starting with the words, right?
And I could come in there at any point and I could use some not white magic. I'll put it that way. I could say, oh yeah, I'll do it by 5 o'clock, right? And then I'll say in my head, yeah, right. I'll get her, right? Something like that, right? That's using not white magic, right? So I'm not being honest with myself. I'm using a different spell in there, but with the I'll get her, right? I'll show her kind of stuff. And I'm lying, right? So those are not good things, and I'm not showing my integrity,
right?
So yeah, but let's switch. You were saying you wanted to go on to some of the other things here. There's a lot of different dimensions to this. Were you going to go to this one, or was it
that one?
This one, yeah, it was this one. Okay.
So avoiding using exaggeration. So like you never do this, or you always are this way, or those
absolute words.
Absolute words.
Never,
like
always,
the
all.
100% or 0%.
All, none, right?
Yeah.
All those kind of things. Yeah.
So so those words are usually not true, right? You never do this. It's like when you use those words, and I really don't like use those words, and somebody use it. It's maybe getting better, but anyway, that's when that happens. It's when you are letting emotion drive the situation, lead the situation, because you are mad and you want to make this situation look really bad, look worse, so you can show how bad this situation is, how mad
to make a point, right? A lot of times to make a point.
Yeah. So
you never do this, or you always do that. It's like, I'm trying to make a point that you're being a bad person.
Yeah. Right? So you are,
or you're acting badly. Maybe not directly at your person, but at your actions, whatever the case may be. Right.
Right. So it's not a fact. Usually, it's not a fact that you never do this. Maybe some people never do it, and that might be true. But lots of times when people use these words, it's just exaggerating, and then it's just making the situation worse. It's just simply using a spell to make a situation worse.
Yeah.
Right.
So it can be catastrophizing the situation, right? So in other words, I see things. I'm being negative, and I see things through that negative light, and it
my life is so bad.
yes, it makes it like, oh my God, this is so awful.
Mm-hmm.
So it turns into catastrophe.
Mm-hmm.
It's all this drama.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, it's drama,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I see a pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Is the pattern real? Right?
But
Is it a little bit real? Is it somewhat real?
Yeah, when
Right?
you're negative, you just focus on the
Focus on that.
negative
That's what I
part.
pull out, right?
Yeah.
You pull
Yeah.
that out.
Mm-hmm.
And is it a perceived pattern or is it a real pattern?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And when you're being negative like that, or you're catastrophizing, or just seeing things in a negative way, then it's almost definitely going to be a perceived pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And it should be treated that way. It should
Mm-hmm.
be, before you run with it, we should always, before we run with it, we should always pause, step back,
Mm-hmm.
try to do whatever we can to shift our perspective on the situation before we use our words
Mm-hmm.
and say, you never, you always,
Mm-hmm.
all, none, all those
Mm-hmm.
things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's
lying to yourself, lying to the world, lying to everything, right? And to justify yourself, to justify your anger or whatever,
yeah.
right? So it's a big lie, and then that's not helping anybody, right? It's like we talked about this. It's like an Othello game. You have black. What's it called?
Tokens, yeah, like that.
black
The
and
game
white.
is a game called Othello. It's a board game.
Yeah.
You have all these tokens. They're white on one side, black on the other.
And then you have a game, and then the more of your color, white or black, and at the end of the game, the more color of yours, if you have, then you win. Right?
Yeah.
And then you sandwich the other person's color. Like if I have white and you put black and I put white, and I can turn that token to white, and I have all white here.
Yeah.
And then he goes black, and then all my whites turn black, right? You can, in 1 second, you can turn the whole row of black or white to the other color, right? So that's the game, and that's what happens when you use never and always. Like it could be black, white, 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 and so some negative thing happened in the past, and it was okay, white, 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 and then negative thing happened again, black, and all the white parts turn into black.
Yeah, I forget. You see the pattern. You see the apparent pattern. It's an illusionary. It's illusory pattern, and you think it's all black when really you're just looking at the front and the back.
Yeah.
And that changes. So you're changing your perception of reality with what we're talking about here. So once again, that's magical when you can actually change your perception of reality. So that's what's going on there, and we should be very, very careful with that kind of stuff, because that perception is everything. It changes our world, whether we can move forward or not, whether we can work with people or not, whether whether we have a life that we enjoy or not, whether we are going to act in a way that's helpful or not, is all determined by our perception, and that perception is governed by the words we're using in our head to describe things.
Yeah.
Right.
So you can turn all the tokens black, or you can turn all the token to white too, right? And some good thing happen and some negative thing happen, but good thing happens. That wasn't great, but that's okay. I'll let go, kind of thing. And and then lots of people like I'm going to pick newlyweds, right? Happy and loving each other, and some negatives happen here and there, and it's okay, it's so great, it's perfect, right? And so you can turn all the black into white, right? So either way it works. And
So both of them we're lying to ourselves.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then so it's either one's, it's, we can use either way. You can, if you are aware, first step is catching yourself, right? When you say never, that's the tricky part, probably because you are being emotional lots of times. Maybe not, but if you're not emotional and then you using never, then it's a little bit easier to catch yourself, right? Is this really true? Is it really never happened? And then don't just dismiss little things that it never happens, and you're not even looking too deep, right? You really look and find, see if that's a fact or not. Or maybe this time it wasn't that way. He or she did this way. Actually, yeah. So if there's only one, even only one, that it was different, then you cannot say never, right? That's not true. But our emotion wants to dismiss it, dismiss that things that happened once, want to dismiss it. It's just once, and so I'm just going to say never, right? It's all black. And then you keep going, and then some white token came up here and there. That's not good enough. It's never, right? You just want to erase it and lie to the situation because you want to justify your anger, your frustration, your dissatisfaction, those kind of things, right? So, and then what's happening is you actually use the spell on you to stay unhappy, right? And then you lie to yourself, you lie to the world, and the world's gonna stay the negative world, right? So that's not the spell that you want to use to yourself and to the world you live in. And so just be aware when you use this absolute words. That's the words.
Yeah. Another aspect to this whole thing that the words are magic is here's an example, right? If it hasn't been cleared yet so far, but this is a really good example. When you say I am sick, it's equivalent to I equals sick, right? The am is basically just like an equal sign. So because you're identifying with the sickness, right? It's a typical English phrase. You're not feeling great for whatever reason, sore throat, whatever the thing is, or something more serious, right? Then when you say I am sick, you are literally identifying. You're saying I am sickness. I am the sick. They're one and the same. Me and sick is the same thing. That is an extremely unhealthy phrase. Very, very, very disempowering. Instead, what you can do is simply talk about if you want to convey the meaning to people so they understand you're having trouble today, then you can just say, my body's experiencing some symptoms today, right? Whatever they are, fill them in, right? I seem to be fighting off a cold, right? That's one way to say it. Or my throat is somewhat scratchy today and sore, right? That's a lot different than saying I am sick, because it
becomes your identification.
Yeah, because when you identify with it, you are keeping it around. You're making it worse than it needs to be. Instead of empowering our body and ourselves with the other ways of saying it,
So temporarily, I am feeling this way.
Yeah.
Then it's temporary.
Yeah.
Right. and I am sick. It's like a what's the word? I can't find the word. Instead of temporarily, it's
Permanent
it can be permanent.
or more
Right.
long lasting.
Yeah. So it's like subconscious mind take it. Oh, you are sick.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's how subconscious mind takes, and then you're gonna keep that subconscious gonna keep it that way because that's how subconscious will keep as it is. Right?
Yeah, our subconscious mind wants to keep things the same all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also a sponge. It's absorbing experience all the time. And it creates programs, it creates habits out of the things that are repeat a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's why, so if we get into the habit of saying that phrase, I am sick, then it's adding more and more. You're doing the spell over and over again, and it becomes stronger, becomes more of a pattern that your subconscious mind recognizes and says, "Oh, hey, this is the way to be," right? And then once your subconscious mind gets behind things, and it's a whole different dynamic going on, right?
Yeah.
So
and then when you are even you getting better, but I am sick program is already in the subconscious mind, and then let's say you injured your leg, subconscious mind that I'm sick, I cannot heal this, right? And then that can get worse and worse than it should be, and then it can get infected, and all those things could happen once the program is in the subconscious mind. So we don't want to start that, right? So by saying I'm sick, or um, then you reinforcing the program. Instead, you want to change the phrase and break the spell of I am sick and I'm temporarily feeling this way, right? But I can heal myself. I'm gonna drink this tea, and it's gonna help me, and I'm gonna heal. Right? Those you want to use the magic to help you instead of using the magic to disempower you. Yeah.
Yeah, those got to watch those habits that we get into, right? That we grew up with, that we might create for ourselves. They are a direct. There's a direct. But you could say that habits and your subconscious beliefs are a direct reflection of each other.
And words too.
And those words create those subconscious beliefs, and then they'll create, and you're going right into that.
Yeah,
habit,
words are habits.
Yeah.
What words you choose to use,
yeah.
Those are habits, and that's a reflection of subconscious mind, actually. So you can find subconscious blocks if you watch your words carefully, right? But because it's showing, and you want to pay attention to your words, because pretty much every word you choose, you are choosing, your subconscious mind is choosing to use this word, this moment, to this person, right? To this person, you might choose different words, right? And so there's a reflection of some subconscious mind that's right there coming out of your mouth, and you want to pay attention, and it's the words that you can change from disempowering yourself to empowering yourself, right? It's you have it. It's right there, and then we use words all the time. How many words? I have no idea a day, but if you're using your words in a disempowering way, you are disempowering yourself every day. But just switching to empowering words, then your life is gonna have a transformation, right?
Yeah, I was really amazed at that, how that made a difference when you started pointing that out for me and helping me with that. Because
Yeah,
it does make a difference.
Yeah.
It makes a difference on your psychology. It makes a difference on your behavior. It makes a difference in your actions. But it makes a difference in your perception of the world, the choices that you make, the actions that you take. All of those are linked to the words that we use, the awareness of the words that we're using, and our and the choices that we make in deciding to use this way of saying things versus that. It makes an enormous difference. Does it change overnight? Well, as soon as you start using a different set of word patterns, probably not. But you got to think, like, there's a lot of momentum built up from the past habit, right? The way been using it 1,000 times this way, or 10,000 times, or 100,000 times using it this way, and you start using it a different way. Well, you got to let it build up, right? You got to use it more. But do you need to use it 100,000 times this other way? No, because you can use it consciously this way instead of unconsciously in the past, which doesn't have a lot of power. If you're using something negative in a negative way, and you're using it in an unaware, casual, offhand way, it doesn't carry a lot of power typically. Has some, it always has some. If you start using it consciously and intentionally, and put some of your energy into it, it automatically happens when you do what I said at the beginning. You mean what you say, right? If I mean what I say, that has a lot more power than when I don't mean what I say, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean always that good things are more powerful than bad. It just means I'm putting more effort into deciding, wait a minute, instead of just saying I'll do it later, I'm going to do it by this time after I finish this one task and before I work on these other three. Then I put more energy into it. I put more intention into it. That means it's going to carry more power than the previous 100,000 times, or like some of them. It's more than at least one of them, right? Using it the old way. And so it's going to be able to change it faster, right? And then if I keep doing that and I put real intention into it, and then while I'm doing the task, if I followed up with intention that is empowering as well, and I avoid things like, oh, that's Satomi, she's always getting me to do this stuff. I hate doing this stuff, right? That's going to be more negative stuff.
Yeah, that's
right?
you just.
I'm not owning it,
Yeah,
like you said, right?
Yeah.
So before you said when you accept it, you actually take ownership of it, right? Then that avoids what I just said, or tends to, right? So there's different ways of adding more power into the words that we choose and use, right? So that having that intention and then using it in a way that's responsible, aware, and effective, it's going to counter the 100,000 bad ways of using it a lot faster. So you might only need 100 times doing it in an intentional way to equal the same effect as 100,000 using it in an offhand way in the past, right? Unaware. So just that's something to keep in mind too, right?
And then for me, how to choose the words, how to judge, is this helping me or not helping me, right? As I can feel the energy when you use negative words like heavy, yucky energy, like when you say, I don't know what would be the good example. What would be a good example? Let's say, oh, I don't like this stuff, right?
To me, it's like the emotion that's behind it.
It's like, oh, I don't like this. When you say that, feel the energy in you when you say it, I don't like it, right? And when you mean it and then you say it, the energy, it's happening here. I don't like it, and it's negative energy, right? You you don't have to say that you don't like it. You don't need to like it. It's okay if something that you don't. That's okay, but it's somebody's gonna like it. Uh, okay, somebody's gonna like it. Good for them.
Mm-hmm.
That's not for me, but there's a reason. Probably there's a reason why it's here,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not my responsibility to like it.
Mm-hmm.
And right, it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's not for me, but somebody's gonna enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Good for them.
Mm-hmm.
Then I don't have this heavy energy, like a draining energy, right? So that's something that I always use. And I'm carrying some negative energy. I'm gonna change it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Right. So when like taking out garbage or whatever, I don't want to do it. Feel that energy in your body,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you say, "Oh, I'm going to do it," uh, I'm going to do it after this. If you're still feeling that energy, the negative energy, you are resisting.
Mm-hmm.
You're not owning 100%,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when you're feeling it, okay, there's a resistance, and then do I need to talk to her because I'm not happy with this, or I'm just resisting because I want to resist, right? Or do I want to take this garbage out? Do I want this one gone? Yes. Okay, then I'm going to do it, and because I want to do it, right? Then you can shift to, okay, this is my responsibility. This is what I want. I'm gonna commit, and then that negative energy is gonna disappear. And because you are empowering yourself, responsibility, you're taking your responsibility, you're trusting yourself that you're gonna do it, and then you can do it. All the empowering energy comes up.
Mm-hmm.
So this empowering energy disappears,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's just the words what you use, and it's changing the energy flow here.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's the magic.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. That it's not just the formation of the words in your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
It's the energy we put behind those words.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, the intent, and then the intensity. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So and that's there's when there's emotion connected to it, that's when we're bringing in our creative power. Right. So we want to be aware of that, and do that in a way that's going to help ourselves and others, right? That's how you do white magic. So yep, that's so we're gone over time here. There's more we could have covered. Maybe we'll come back in a second episode. I'm not sure, but if there are difficulties with creating that awareness, with making an adjustment and choosing differently than what's been done before, then that's because of subconscious programs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if that's what's going on, then you can change that, and you can use different techniques. Our Sakuso healing and transformation system is designed that way, where Tony is able to do a reading to understand what is underlying the situation, what's causing that habit to happen, right? What's triggering the habit? What's keeping it in place? Because funny things can come in there, right? All kinds of reasons we can have that will keep a certain pattern in place. She'll know what it is, and then we'll be able to help you shift it. And then what is required after that is creating a new habit in your life, right? Following through. You got to follow up and take action based on your new subconscious belief. And that's what Sakuso is all about. It's an extremely effective method, extremely powerful method for being able to break through and make the changes and create the life that we want to live. Create a life that's based on love, based on enjoyment of life, on enjoying just being ourselves, right? Creating the life that you want to live, being healthy, all those good things. So if you want to do that, if you're having trouble with it and you want to get past it, then just schedule a free session with Satomi and I. There's a link here somewhere. I don't know where it is. I can't find it in the list here. Anyway, oh, there it is. There we go. You just come to our website, to this URL, schedule a session with us. We'll be happy to walk through it with you. And other than that, thank you for stopping by. If you liked the episode, please like, share, click the little notification bell, and when you subscribe, all that kind of stuff, so you don't miss anything. And we'll see you right here next week, Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern on Aether. Thank you guys. Love you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.